Well, we've made it. 2025 is over, and this year I saw something like 160 new releases. There were some highs and there were some lows. That's what we're talking about today. I'm giving you my picks for the worst movies of 2025. While I'm talking, be sure to join me down below in the comment section. Share your picks for the worst movies of 2025. The movies that drove you crazy, that you couldn't stand, that are perfect examples of everything that you think is wrong with Hollywood today. And as we go into this, some of the worst movies of the year aren't going to be on this list because I didn't see everything that came out, and also, like most people, I have a bias towards watching movies I think that I'm going to like. So if there was something just looked awful and everyone told me it was awful, probably didn't watch it. Like, I didn't go see the Smurfs movie because I just could not persevere through a Smurfs movie, so it's not going to be on the list. With that said, let's get started. Kicking things off, Snow White. This movie was the internet's punching bag several years before it even came out, and largely rightly so. This project is essentially the epitome of so many things wrong with Disney over the last 6 or 7 years, where it's a project that always felt like it was greenlit by greedy executives rather than by visionary storytellers. The project only exists because Disney live action remakes seem to be a safe bet, so what else can we adapt? Let's do Snow White.
We can do no wrong and this system has no flaws.
It's a project where they went, we want to adapt this because it's a beloved classic with recognizable IP that is beloved. And at the same time, they went, yeah, but also we want to fix it. The story's outdated. We need to modernize it.
I mean, you know, the original cartoon came out in 1937, and very evidently so. There's a big focus on her love story with a guy who literally stalks her. Yeah. Weird.
So we're adapting it because it's beloved and a classic, but also it's broken and we need to fix it and we can do it better than they did it. It's a project that had kind of no singular vision for it, that originally they were going to do this one story without the 7 dwarves, and then the internet complained, and so they reshot it and added them in with these horrendous looking things. And so it turns into this Frankenstein's monster where there's like 2 sets of 7 people that she meets up with, that it's fighting with itself over what it's trying to be. Is it a faithful adaptation or a reimagining? They gave it this insane budget for considering how the small scale of the original film, in which case they tried to convert it into like an epic tale of her reclaiming the throne from the oppressor. And it's like, what does any of this have to do with the original story? And of course, there was the PR nightmare that was Rachel Zegler leading up to the movie's release that did absolutely no favors for the film. And you had Gal Gadot giving like this wacky, insane, campy performance that was in a completely different movie and not very good. It was a perfect storm for the internet to beat it up and continue to beat it up, hence why we are talking about it in this video.
Weird.
Then we have Five Nights at Freddy's 2. This is a perfect example of a movie that is made so exclusively for the fans that it excludes everyone else. This movie felt entirely like fan service for the diehards. Easter egg hunting for people that know what Easter eggs they are looking for, and it is in no way designed to be accessible or enjoyable for non-diehards. To that point, I went to go see it with my son, who is a diehard, that plays the video games, watches every lore video on the internet, and, you know, the original film was like his favorite movie. To him, that is Citizen Kane. That is cinema to my son. And thus, this movie, he had some issues with some of the changes they made to the lore at the end of the film, but he loved it. And so I understand many of you that did enjoy the film. But please understand, the rest of us that aren't diehards, just watch this film and there's no characters to care about. It just felt like scattershot subplots kind of taped together, and very late in the movie you realize, oh, okay, this is what she's trying to do. Okay. There's no logic to how any of it works. If you're watching this movie without prior knowledge, it just feels like there's enormous holes in the entire thing that you don't know what goes in the gaps. Which, if you're a diehard, I get why you liked it. I get why it's fun. I get why it's a neat experience for you. But for the rest of us, and I've had the online discourse for this movie has been wild of people like, you just don't get it. You needed to do this. And it's like, no, I shouldn't have to do homework to understand your movie. Your movie should be able to stand on its own if you want me to enjoy it, which they didn't do. I get why you liked it, but as just a movie in and of itself, is really, really bad. Like, it doesn't work at all as a standalone entity. There's a couple fun little sequences. There's a couple things here and there that reminded me of things I saw my son play in the game. And otherwise, I was like, this is bad.
How bad is it? My God, Superman, it's a nightmare.
2025 is over. And in 2025, I tried to get in much better shape. And a big part of that was simply eating better. Trying to get lots of protein, eating good carbs and fats, and getting plenty of nutrients. But in the morning, I don't have an appetite for a big, hearty meal, and I want to get my day started. I don't have time to prep and cook a meal. Enter the perfect solution, Huel Ready to Drink Black Edition. It's got 35 grams of protein, 27 vitamins and minerals, slow release carbs, a complete meal in one bottle. That's huge for me because it's a meal's worth of macros and nutrients all in one bottle that is ready to drink. It tastes good with no weird aftertaste or strange texture to it. My personal favorite is the iced coffee and the iced latte. But I got the variety pack, which had vanilla, chocolate, strawberry, banana, and I enjoyed all of them. I would order more of them. They've also added some new flavors like chocolate peanut butter. I haven't tried it yet, but I'm very interested to try it. I'm pretty sure that I will really enjoy it. So I recommend checking out that variety pack to figure out what your favorite flavor is. Each bottle is under $5, and when you're getting a meal's worth of macros and it's ready to drink, it's a great way to start your day. Grab Huel today with my exclusive offer of 15% off orders of $50 or more with code Sean Chandler at Huel.com/Sean Chandler. New customers only. Thank you to Huel for partnering and supporting our show. 8, Flight Risk. And this movie is one of the craziest examples of a director drop-off of all time. This is directed by Mel Gibson, the guy that won a bunch of Oscars back in 1995 for Braveheart, Best Picture, Best Director. His movie prior to Flight Risk was Hacksaw Ridge, which got great reviews and was nominated for a bunch of awards, including Oscars. And he decides to follow up all of this prestige with a totally cheap, schlocky B-movie thriller. More importantly, a really bad one. On paper, it has all of the right ingredients to be an enjoyable enough kind of like throwaway thriller. Like it has a setup, building of tension, conflicts are in place. But every single thing in this movie feels like the first draft. Every explanation for why something happens, you're like, wait, no, that can't be right. They didn't really say that, did they? Wait, that's how he escaped? Wait, they're not paying attention to him? Everything in the movie, every joke feels like a placeholder joke for when you can come up with a real joke that's actually funny. Everything in the movie is the bad version of what should be in the film. Beyond that, just the raw execution is so cheap. There's parts with CGI environments and you just see it and you go, oh no, like this looks horrible. And that's what's just so astounding about it. It's not just that Mel Gibson went from making prestige movies, Passion of the Christ, to making a thriller that is, B grade. It's that it's a terrible one. He aimed low and still fell below expectations. What on earth happened here that he just made B-movie trash?
Sometimes people drop stinkers.
Number 7, The Pickup. This year's example of everything wrong with streaming movies, where you get a couple of big, gigantic names, put them in a fun genre, and deliver a movie that makes you go, really? That's all you got? That's all you could do with all of this talent? This is a movie that thinks like the height of comedy is Pete Davidson eating a bunch of junk food in an armored car and then farting because you can't roll down the window because it's an armored car, so there's just this little window, so there's not a lot of air circulation. Get the joke? Because farts smell bad, and Eddie Murphy had to smell his fart. Do you get the joke? That's the humor in this movie, just the utter bottom of the barrel humor when you've got comedy legend Eddie Murphy with Pete Davidson, two people that can be very funny. The movie makes this very odd choice to play Eddie Murphy primarily as the straight man to Pete Davidson's buffoonery, in which case this very high energy, very funny guy is just sitting there with a stern face 90% of the movie. And then randomly they'll have him be fun Eddie Murphy just occasionally, but most of the movie he's just sitting there annoyed, which is not the thing that he's a legend for doing. The plot is totally generic, heist movie type stuff, and it tries to have this arc with Keke Palmer's character and makes you care about her, but she's just acted in such a selfish manner that you can't remotely care or sympathize what she's doing in light of what she has done and said to Eddie Murphy's character. So a movie that isn't funny, the action's not exciting, you don't care about the characters, and it tries to make you care about someone that you really don't like, which just puts a bad taste in your mouth. And one of these movies, it just feels like you wasted 2 hours of your life.
And the idiots who made this film are taking 2 hours of my life and robbing it from me in order to give me less than nothing.
Next up, another simple favor, a perfect example of a sequel that has no reason to exist because the first film does not in any way lend itself to a follow-up. My wife absolutely adored the original film. She used to watch it on loop. 6 months later, she still has not watched this movie because she has no interest in it. And everything I've told her about it made her go, I don't want to spoil my memory of the first film with something like that. I actually saw this film at its world premiere at South by Southwest, so I was in the room with the director, Paul Feig, Anna Kendrick, Blake Lively, the whole cast was there. It was the perfect environment to see a movie. Even with all of that excitement, I left the movie being like, yikes, how did you miss the mark so badly? A big gigantic piece of it is the thing that worked about the original film was that it was kind of like this escapist fantasy about this woman that feels very ordinary and overlooked and from the suburbs and finds herself pulled into this glamorous life with the Blake Lively character and turns into kind of a murder mystery and the secret of what happened in the background. And there's this escapism to that is relatable for the target audience. And the second movie completely abandons that because as soon as you tell a second story about Anna Kendrick's character, she's no longer this relatable, normal person because she survived the first film. So suddenly she has like a hit YouTube channel and they're writing books and she's famous. And then the movie, instead of taking place in the suburbs, which is once again connected to the world of the target audience, takes us off to this exotic European location to off of coast for a rich mob family, and everything that kind of made the first one connect is utterly absent. The kookiness is cranked up, and there's a sequence in this where the movie does sexual assault for laughs, and it's like the incestual sexual assault for laughs. Ew. And the movie didn't seem to even know how inappropriate the sequence was. So just a movie that just tarnishes the reputation of the original and delivers none of what made the first one connect with its original audience. Bringing us into the bottom five, The Strangers Chapter 2. This is another one that I actually saw at its world premiere, this time at Fantastic Fest. It was kind of a whole ordeal where they had people dressed up as the strangers walking around at the theater. There was a pre-party I got to go to. Cody Leach, my good friend, was actually one of the people dressed up as a stranger, which is a story in and of itself of his feelings on that whole matter. But I was in the theater with the director, Rennie Harlan. Once again, the best possible environment to watch this movie and have all the excitement of being around movie lovers, first to see a film, world premiere, stars, all that energy. And whoo, with all of that, still, the movie itself could not win me over in any way, shape, or form. And it comes down to the fact that it feels like this entire trilogy of Strangers films was totally ill-conceived. That there's some idea that they wanted to do that I guess is in chapter 3, but they didn't have 3 movies worth of story to tell. In which case, the first one is just a remake of the original film with a different ending. And then I guess the new stuff and the new angle is in the third one. And this is just a bridge between basically a remake and what they actually want to do. It's just a chase movie. Which could be interesting if we cared about the characters and if we hadn't already done that. Like, if it's like, there's just no story here. There's nothing, no real development. And so all it has to offer is backstory. In which case, there's these flashbacks where you learn about the childhood of the strangers and where they came from and what started this kind of path that they're on, which is fresh and new, but it's also counter to the entire point of the franchise. The whole thing that makes it so creepy, eerie, and unsettling is that there is no motivation. There is no explanation. There is no answers. The mystery, the cruelty, the randomness is the point. And that is exactly why it's like, ooh, I don't like that. So making a trilogy of movies that exist to tell us who they are and why they are the way that they are misses the point entirely. And so a film that I thought it was marginally better than the first one simply because it wasn't just a remake. And that is all I can say positive about this one. 4th, you're cordially invited. This should have been such an easy on base. It's a rom-com of sorts starring Will Ferrell and Reese Witherspoon. I like rom-coms and I think there is an absence of them. And I really enjoy Reese Witherspoon and Will Ferrell. Reese Witherspoon in particular going into a rom-com, that is her wheelhouse where she excels, and Will Ferrell in comedy, obviously he's really funny. And the basic concept is about our 2 leads are planning weddings for loved ones and they accidentally double book this small island, and so they butt heads while trying to have to plan weddings over the same weekend. Classic formula, tough to get this thing wrong, and they made 2 actors with a long history of charming performances so unbelievably, aggressively unpleasant. You made me not like very likable actors' performers. They're so selfish, mean-spirited, and utterly petty. It is impossible to root for them, want either one of them to succeed or want them to like become whatever they become at the end of the movie. It's like just writing characters that it's not just that they're flawed, they're terrible people in a way that you just can't overcome that with this degree of behavior. It's also the kind of movie that feels like someone that spent way too much time in LA trying to write about the South. And so everything kind of leans into stereotypes, which kind of reinforces that mean-spirited flavor of the entire film. Reese Witherspoon has played this type of character a lot, which is kind of the hard-working woman that's no nonsense and speaks her mind. But here, it's just such an abrasive, unlikable version of it. Not it like you understand the character, but you're just like, she's just a jerk. And so when you have characters that are just behaving so badly in this type of context, there's nothing you can do to make me care about anything that happens in this movie. So you take a winning formula with actors I like and completely destroy the entire thing. Real quick before I give you my bottom 3 of the year, be sure to join me down below in the comment section. Let me know, what are your picks for the worst movies of 2025? Also, I'm doing other of these end of the year lists around this time. I did most disappointing films yesterday. I've already ranked the comic book movies of the year. We got best movies of the year coming. If you enjoyed this video, there's more like it that you can check out. Number 3, Happy Gilmore 2. Hey, my wife and I were in grade school in the 90s. Adam Sandler is on the Mount Rushmore of comedy for us. And boy, oh boy, I almost immediately did not like this movie for the very obvious reason. In the first 5 minutes, they kill off Julie Bowen's character. That's the setup for our movie, is that they kill off a character and they make Happy Gilmore depressed and an alcoholic. And it was just kind of like throwing a wet blanket on the whole movie for me. All of a sudden, it's a movie about death and redemption and restoration in a way that I just don't feel that fits with this franchise. But even to that point, if you don't know my life story, my dad drank himself to death. I grew up with an alcoholic father that drank himself to death when I was 20. And I myself struggled with alcoholism. When I started this YouTube channel, I was in rehab. So the subject of alcoholism is very personal to me. And so when you make a movie that both tries to be like, treat it seriously, but also treats hiding alcohol as a joke that's funny and silly, that is actually legitimately offensive to me. Because you're taking something that's not just serious subject matter, but like life and death subject matter to me, and tied so deeply to the deepest wounds of my life and deepest regrets of my life, and treating them as just a punchline. Like, look, the golf club's got you hiding alcohol in it. Isn't that funny? Not to me. It's really not. But if you get beyond my issues with the basic setup and kind of the wet blanket nature of the film, from there, it's just kind of the laziest nostalgia cameo fest that you can do. That like every character from the first movie, their kid shows up. If we did a couple of these, it would be okay. But it's every character from the first movie. Everyone is a celebrity cameo. That's all it is. Depression, alcohol, cameos, and fart breath. Our dishonorable runner-up, Star Trek Section 31. Now, I'm a lifelong Star Trek fan. One of my first memories of watching a movie ever was watching Star Trek 4. One of my first memories of going to a theater is of watching Star Trek 5 in a theater in 1989. So it pains me to say that the first Star Trek movie in 9 years is an utter disaster and an embarrassment. Now, some of you might be thinking, a Star Trek movie came out this year. Why, yes. A straight-to-Paramount Plus streaming movie came out that is a spin-off of a Star Trek Discovery character from like 8 years ago, which focuses in on the secret Federation organization that was established in Deep Space Nine back in the 90s.
Yeah, buddy, I gotta say, that's probably the worst thing I've ever heard.
And if that sounds like, wait, what? What are you talking about? Exactly. Everything about this thing is a total mess. Like, at best, it's a direct-to-streaming sci-fi action adventure movie, but like, it's like Borderlands on a streaming budget. It's a total disaster. It's all over the place. They'll have a scene where a child kills its own parents, and the next scene is slapstick humor. It's sort of like Mission Impossible in space with, get the team together to go do the mission to save the planet or save the universe sort of thing, but with like Team Temu, Guardians of the Galaxy tone.
You don't answer her questions directly, she will punch you in your face.
What? You said that she was going to be doing the face punching!
So it's like wacky and everyone's throwing quips and big loud costumes, characters, everything like that, but with none of the wit or intelligence of James Gunn. It's like a parody of MCU jokes. But this isn't a generic sci-fi film, and it's not Mission Impossible in space, it's Star Trek. And so it's like this insane project that they took this niche Star Trek stuff and tried to package it for everyone, in which case you have a movie that is for absolutely no one. There is no appeal. There's no hook for anyone on the planet because these circles do not overlap with each other. Doing Section 31 in this tone will alienate anyone that knows what Section 31 is. Nobody wants this. Nobody liked this thing. And it is shocking that they've taken something so beloved as Star Trek and just utterly destroyed it like this.
I mean, a movie like this is a crime.
But the worst movie of the year, War of the Worlds. On paper, this actually isn't a bad idea for a film. Doing a screen life adaptation of War of the Worlds that uses webcams, video chats, news broadcasts, desktop screen recordings, surveillance feeds. That's kind of interesting. Back in 1938, very famously, infamously, Orson Welles created a panic by doing a radio broadcast version of War of the Worlds in the first person that people thought was real. So there's this history of using the War of the Worlds story and adapting it into modern technology to connect with people in interesting new ways with the technology of the time. However, these filmmakers are not Orson Welles. This thing is an utter abomination.
This is the worst.
Where not a single character in this entire movie makes a choice that a real person would make. There's people on the streets as an alien invasion is taking place around them, and they're calmly video chatting with family members, and then they start broadcasting it like they're a wartime journalist trying to let everyone know what's happening rather than trying to, not die. And then the whole movie kind of unravels in the back half. Hilariously bad. This was an Amazon movie, and the world is saved by Amazon Prime delivery. The whole movie is just packed with Amazon products just being dropped on screen. In the climax of this movie, to save the day, they need a flash drive. And so they literally go, I'll order it on Amazon Prime. They go to the webpage, put it on the screen, show you how to check out, show you an Amazon drone take off, and the world is saved by an Amazon delivery drone. Like the craziest, most invasive product placement you have ever seen in a movie, that your jaw drops at the audacity that they thought they could do this. As much as maybe there was some way to make a screen life War of the Worlds that was awesome, unfortunately, the one that we got was an utter disaster of a movie where Amazon tried to do this self-congratulatory, we saved the world through our delivery systems. Pure insanity. It is the worst movie of 2025. Be sure to join me down below in the comment section. Let me know your picks for the worst movies of 2025. Thank you so much for watching in 2025, and come back again in 2026.